Andy, one thing I wanted to talk to you about is how were you able to be so good in exchanges? A lot of fighters today, or not even today, just a lot of fighters, they just play defensive when the shots come. They don't like to punch when the other guy's punching. So what's the secret to what makes you so good at that?
I think the counterpunching, you know, me being fast, thank God that gave me this ability and strength, you know, because a lot of people, they see me, they're like, oh, that kid's not fast. He doesn't move good, or he don't hit hard, but just the abilities that I have, you know, and the people that I have around me that showing me a lot of stuff, you know. So I think it's the combinations and the speed and the counterpunch, because I'm a counterpuncher, and I could be aggressive as well, but I think I'm a counterpuncher in both ways.
You're aggressive counterpuncher,
yeah,
right?
Aggressive counterpuncher.
Canelo does that.
Yeah.
And you're training with the Reynosos, right?
Yeah, so we're teaming up, and we're going to have a few fights together. So I think that's going to be a good step moving over there, to be more disciplined, to be around champions, to be in that champion mentality, you know? So I think it's going to work good for me.
You know, we're in the lockdown and everything. Have you had a chance to get in camp with the Reynosos yet?
No, actually, they're in Mexico right now, so I think everybody is doing the social distancing and the COVID-19, but we're just trying to stay busy, you know, trying to stay busy, shock the world again, and I'm doing a documentary. I'm doing my YouTube channel, so just want everybody to tune in on that. There's going to be the transformation of me being big and fat, how I was, to being in shape and looking good and ready to fight.
How much do you probably weigh right now?
Right, I don't want to say anything right now, but just know that we are losing it, we're dropping it, and we're just ready to shock the world again.
You know, it was thought that guys your size, they couldn't get to be the champion anymore with guys 6'6", 6'7" in today's heavyweight division. How were you able to make it happen at your size?
Like I said, God's gift that He gave me, you know, being fast, moving around, being first. But I think the speed is the key of my advantage, you know, the speed, not just throwing, like how you're saying, not just throwing 1, 2 punches. I got to throw 3, 4, 5 punches to get at that range, you know, because I'm fighting tall fighters, so I have to be on point.
Do you think that, in a way, you proved that Tyson and Holyfield and those guys, they would have been able to compete today and maybe
they would have competed today, and they probably would have been the same as they were back in the day, you know, and that's what we need to bring now, you know, like the old school fighters that they were before, and do it now. So I'm trying to have that style as well, like a Mike Tyson, Mexican Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Those were the words of Andy Ruiz, the Destroyer. And I like how the interviewer asked him, you know, about exchanges, because Andy Ruiz is a guy that he is a counterpuncher. Counterpunch boxing news. I love counterpunches. They're the type of punches that you don't see, that you don't anticipate. Okay, and a lot of them you don't see because of that, you know. And Ruiz changed history. Okay, to be the first Mexican-American heavyweight, it was because of his counterpunching ability. Joshua didn't see that punch coming at all. He was constantly trying to get this guy out of here because he thought it was done. Whereas Andy stayed in the pocket, right? And he got under those big hooks and uppercuts of Joshua, landed that left hook, and changed history, and everything went uphill for Andy Ruiz and downhill for Anthony Joshua after that time. Now, as far as Andy's weight and things like that, I have seen with my naked eye that it appears that he's lost weight. Okay, we know that. But if you noticed, okay, Andy Ruiz he did not mention his weight at all. He didn't mention that. And like I told you guys, the results are, the evidence is in the numbers. Okay, like, okay, where are you? Like, okay, well, where are you at now? Because he said, I want to do a transition to fat guy to an in shape guy. And I'm thinking, well, how much did you weigh then? You know, or maybe he's just trying to save it for the documentary. I don't know. But it just shows you, but I won't be tricked again, because, again, we haven't seen this guy outside those long, you know, cholo-like shirts that he wears a lot. So you don't see what he's shaped like, okay? So, but he does look good, you know, and you can see he's still, you can see in his face he's slimming down. But the way Andy Ruiz is built, he's built, you know, he's a big upper body guy, you know what I mean? Yeah, so I mean, a lot of his strength is upper body, and he has a strong foundation also. And another thing I want to add to this is, you know, him fighting along with Canelo Alvarez, you know, and they compared him to Canelo Alvarez, you know, on, you know, training with him in the Reynosos, and he was like, well, we're gonna work together a lot. Now, mind you, this is just reaching, okay? Depending on how boxing sways, if Andy Ruiz gets over there with Canelo, I could see him and Canelo, or I could see Andy Ruiz fighting on the zone again. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, like Ryan Garcia, because he's going to be over there with Ryan Garcia and Canelo and those guys, and they're all with different promotional companies too. But Ryan, you know, he looks, you know, he's still with Golden Boy, he's still in the contract. But Andy, you know, you may see him sway because he might see the benefits of being with the zone, because you know those guys are going to talk about that, right? But it is good to for Andy to be around Canelo, because I think that kind of raises your desire level, because you see someone also successful, you know. And Andy Ruiz, like he said, he has to fight a lot harder to get close to his target, especially when that target is not coming towards you like Anthony Joshua did in the first fight. So instead of throwing 1 or 2 punches, you got to throw 3, 4, and 5. Okay? Well, if you want to do that and successfully do that, you have to be in shape. So it's imperative for Andy Ruiz to stay in shape. Is he a Mexican Mike Tyson? I don't. No. Okay? He does throw a rapid amount of punches quickly. But like Mike Tyson, I don't see him there. Can he be, or can he have the same type of work rate as Mike Tyson? Possibly. But that depends on the shape that he's in, because he's obese. So he has to drop that weight, but he has to properly acclimate to that weight in shape. You know, because a lot of times when you lose a lot of weight, you lose muscle along with the fat. Okay, so, you know, and his energy levels, it changes because he's so used to being a certain size for so long. So he's going to have to adapt to that particular size, you know. And a lot of things you got to be careful, because when you do that, that also is a desire to take supplements. And of course, supplements, you know, can cause other problems because they can have elements in it that are on those lists of banned substances or performance enhancing drugs. So that's another thing to bring up when talking about Andy Ruiz. But he does throw 4 or 5, and then he put the stank on it by saying those guys they'll do well, or probably just do the same they did back then. Now, he didn't say they'll beat anyone, but he did say they would be successful. So that speaks for itself. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about Andy Ruiz, labeled the Mexican Mike Tyson, because that's what he's trying to do. You guys tell me what your thoughts. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.